Did Charlie look sharper to you today than he had just in recent starts before this little bit of a break?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought he pitched a quality ball game out there today. The number of pitches that he had used to get through the 7 innings, pitches he was able to make to keep the game in place. I thought his left-handed package was much improved today. Just a real good effort from Charlie across the board. Very good. You know, to piggyback that, you probably have this information, but you know, we've got 5 starters that made 25 starts this year. It's the 5th time in an organization franchise's history that that's happened. There's 2 teams in Major League that have that in play, and there's 3 that might have it in play as the season plays out. And I think that's one of the building blocks that we need to get in place to move forward and to create the organization and the Major League club, the championship level that we want to. Charlie getting out of that last 7th inning jam was just a microcosm of that. You know, facing full holes, couple guys on, game in check, getting that last out. You know, I think that was another step forward for him to build on.
Again, a lot of guys make a start, but he hasn't had a lot of innings. Do you look at performances like today, like Charlie going into the 7th?
I think we need to look at the reality of who we got going out there right now and what's available to them. So I don't think that's as big an issue as just where we are. I mean, the guys that you're counting on to finish, 2 of them are on the DL. Carstens was out, unplugged, just got back in. We weren't going to use him much more than 7 pitches. Charlie, we need more length from, and that's what he was able to give us today. Lincoln's built up, and it was the first time he didn't pitch 6 his last time out. So, yeah, we want that. I think we're heading that direction, but at this point in time, with the personnel that's in the rotation pitching, I don't know how much more we get out of what we have right now.
How does it help guys like Morton and McDonald to going into next year where they're not going to have those issues about, well, they've never pitched this many innings, they've never made this many starts, they have that all behind them going into next season?
Well, that's a part of the sport, and it's a part of life. I'm gaining experience, and having been through the battle and experienced what it takes. They'll probably have a better understanding of how to prepare this winter as well, knowing some of the challenges they faced, whether it was mentally, whether it was physically, or what have you, as they go into next season. So it's all part of the journey they're on.
But do you continue to see the growth from Alex Presley, multi-hit game? I think 17th or 18th multi-hit game since he's been up this year. Just what has he done as he continues to grow at the Major League level?
Well, I was sitting in a room with the other day, and he was asked a question about that. He said he's just trying to find and play to his skill set right there, not play outside of that. I think he's done a very professional job of it. He's managed his bats well. He continues to work on his short game, continues to work on his running game. But as far as putting the barrel on the ball, he's been very, very good. You know, he's aware of some chase issues that he's had. He'd like to knock down the number of strikeouts. That's going to be a work in progress. He's another kid that's learning and finding his way. The time up here for him this year has been very valuable. He's definitely moved upon it.
One of the things that unfortunately happened today, 19th straight year, sub-500 baseball, but you mentioned the building blocks with the pitching staff, a guy like Presley, Walker. Just your thoughts on that? I know it's not necessarily, you know, what you're focused on. You're focused on championships, but the fans will talk a lot about that.
Well, obviously, you have faith in what you believe you're doing, and the pace is what's hard to control or try and even deal with or talk about. We want to win. That being said, we haven't won enough. We have a core group in place. Now, obviously, we have some things that we think we need to improve upon. But as far as working extremely hard to get better in many areas that were exposed last year, we've made some strides in those areas. I think one thing we've also learned, there's much work in front of us. These 3 games are a microcosm offensively. We've got room for improvement all over the board on offense. We got in situations in the last 2 games where we had people in place to make plays or do things and score runs. We didn't, they did. That's why they're chasing. They're in a pennant chase right now, and we're not. It comes down to execution. And we were very good at it for 3.5 months. We have not been good at it for the last 6 weeks in a number of different areas. The game exposed it. But these guys have tasted it. One of our good characteristics is we're stubborn. They continue to work at it. Their attitude effort is there every day. We've got to improve our how-to. Our how-to has got to improve for us to become a championship organization and for us to play above or get to the point where we don't talk about consecutive losing seasons.
You talked about Carstens slowing down the big swinging lineup with some of his slower pitches. It seemed like Morton had some effect with that today with his off-speed pitches and his breaking balls. What did you see from him, and how effective was that against these guys?
Well, he did have a sharp breaking ball today, and he kept with it and stayed with it, and Kevin has done a good job working with Charlie for, I don't know how many starts in a row now, he's a good feel for him. They're able to add some things or subtract some things as the game gone on, and his two-seamer was pretty effective, but the breaking ball was a big pitch for him today, especially against the left-hander, showing it up, finishing it with it down, back foot, down over the plate. Very good pitch for him today, and that's always going to help his confidence.
You said even a couple weeks ago how much you'd like to see Derek Lee back here next year. Can you just talk about what he's done since he came off the DL for you guys?
Well, you know, he has, we'd love to see him back. There's a lot of intangibles that are going to go with that. You know, I've had some conversations with Derek. The one thing he's been able to bring to our lineup that we were hoping for initially when we went out to the agent market was a guy that could anchor the middle spot in the lineup. He's a great defender at first base as far as what we need, big target, nice feet, soft hands. You saw today, tried to make a baseball play with a head first slide at home plate, trying to square on. That shows you where his head is, and where his heart is. He's got a slow heartbeat. He's got a voice of reason in the clubhouse. He's been a really good addition. I like to have had him out for the entire time he's been here. That being said, if you speak to him, I think he's enjoyed his time here as well. I don't know what the future's going to hold, but he told me last year he wanted to come to Pittsburgh. He's had an awful good time in Pittsburgh this year. And those are his words.
Good. You talked about growth 90 days, any emotion you have?
Well, you know, it started yesterday at school. We visited and took supplies and gifts. And, you know, there was a video on Roberto and the legacy. You know, a greater man off the field as he was on the field. He had a servant's heart. To see his wife and his son there, that's very touching. It's very meaningful. Our organization obviously has deeper ties than any other organization, and honor and respect it. The Clemente legacy. To see some fellow friends of his out there today in the dugout as well. It always has meaning. It's never going to get old. It never should get old. It stands for all the right things for all the right reasons. Every time. That's why I've got his picture in the office. That's why I've got his quote on my wall. It's just a great reminder every day of how he went about his life, how he went about the game of sport. And it's a blueprint for everyone involved.